We are live now. We are ready on our side.
You want to mute Ray, Mike?
Sure.
And unmute Paul.
Okay, we're ready to go. So I see 7 members. All right, I'd like to call the meeting, the Cumberland School Committee special meeting, Thursday, April 16th at 6:06 p.m. The governor of Rhode Island, Governor Raimondo, has issued a new executive order where it does not have to be meetings be essential anymore in regards to the items listed. So I will skip that part. Going forward, the public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person, by calling phone number 312-626-6799 or webinar ID 953-6252-3208, or join us on this Zoom program by going to our Cumberland School Department website, and the link is there to get in and participate via Zoom. And we also are live on YouTube, so you can hear that discussion as well. So I need an approval of the agenda. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Fiorello,
Second by Mrs.
second
Mrs.
by
Friedman.
Mrs. Friedman and Mrs. Waters. Thank you. First item on the agenda is public comment. If there's anyone there in the public that would like to speak, if you could please unmute yourself and let us know that you'd like to speak about any of the 3 items on the agenda that are listed tonight. So I'll pause for a moment here. Mr. Chandler, can you unmute them
I
automatically?
did. Yeah, we have one caller on the line and I have them unmuted.
Okay, and no one's planning on speaking. Okay. So with that said, we'll move forward. We have item number 4, which is school construction. There are 2 items here. Item number A is discussion and/or vote to approve proceeding with the stage 2 ride application. So what we have here is on a week ago today, Derek Osterman from Collier's informed the committee that meets on Thursday, which is Collier's, the superintendent, usually there, Mr. Chandler, Torado, the architect, and they discussed the stage 2 application that RIDE has, that we submitted to RIDE, and answering all the questions that they came back needing additional information. And so this here is basically housekeeping that we are discussing and approving the stage 2 application as it stands right now. That's on that item there. And then item number B we can discuss as well. So is everyone in favor of continuing the stage 2 ride application? Item number B kind of deals with that application after we vote on this one. So is everyone in favor of continuing the stage 2 ride application, or have any questions in regards to that application? I know most of you are not available or call in regards to the Thursday meetings that Collier's and Toronto has in the superintendent's office, but they go through who's going to do what, whether it be the school department, Toronto or Collier's, to complete the application with RIDE. And they did give the school department 1 additional week. Normally it's 3 weeks. Because of the pandemic here, they've given us 4 weeks to complete and answer all the questions that may arise for the approval.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Salvatore.
I apologize. It was glitching on my end. What is the mayor's office saying about the stage 2 ride application?
Well, the mayor's office is an approval. He told Mr. Osterman from Collier's that he wanted the stage 2, to continue with the stage 2 application process, and we'll wait for RIDE's approval before we do any additional work. That's
Okay,
his
thank you.
stand on that. All right. I need a motion in a second if no one else has any questions. Anyone?
Second,
I didn't get who made the motion?
Mrs. Waters.
Mrs. Waters, and I need a second.
I'll second,
Second.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Salvatore seconds, and Mrs. Friedman, I saw you raise your hand as well.
Can,
All in favor? Go
can
ahead,
before,
Mr.
before you
Adams.
do that, what is the motion on the table?
To continue to,
To approve proceeding with the stage 2 ride application, which is what's
That's
written
correct.
on the agenda. Okay.
that's correct.
Ms. Waters, is that what you understood?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. I thought there was already a motion and I was seconding.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll make the motion. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that. Just
That's
No, that's
okay.
okay. Thanks for
Mrs.
clarifying.
Waters makes the motion, Mr. Salvatore, Mrs. Friedman second, correct?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it 7-0. So we'll get to the next item, B, which is discussion and/or vote to cease further expenditures on the school construction until the town council fiscally approves the work. What this is, again, is that it kind of goes with part A on item number A, the mayor, with the meeting they had with Collier's, and the mayor, in the phone call with the mayor on this past Monday. The mayor has told Colliers and Toronto, et cetera, do not do any further work on the stage 2 that incurs any expenses other than necessary for the stage 2 ride application. But that was on a week ago Thursday, and everyone in the room kind of understood what the mayor was talking about. The mayor had told Colliers that because of the fiscal situation the town may be in, but he didn't want to incur any additional expenses. On Monday of this week, Mr. Pignano, Superintendent Mitchell and I had a call with the mayor to talk about this and school funding as well, what's going to happen for next year. The mayor wanted to hear in regards to the school committee, what their feelings are about ceasing the work after the stage 2 application is approved, until the town has the money available to move forward. So we wanted the school committee members to chime in on this, whether you want the work to stop, do you want work to continue? And the mayor had said to the school, us Monday, that he would try to find a way to keep on funding the project going forward. But he wanted to hear from the school committee. My opinion is that if anyone saw the Valley Breeze today on the front page on the online edition, it talks about how Smithfield had gone out to bid for work that they're going to do in the 30+ million range. And the work came $2 million less than what they thought it was going to be. So because the construction companies are hungry for work right now, they're working a whole lot cheaper. My personal opinion and what was discussed on Thursday was Toronto Associates, the architect, would like to continue to design the swing space work at the transitional building, and then go out to bid to see what the cost would be for the town. I think we should proceed with that because nothing's going to happen unless the swing space gets done first, so we can move children around as necessary. But he would like the school committee members to chime in, whether you just want to follow and not do anything until after the town comes out of this financial situation that it's in, or at least start the process. And, there would be some funds being spent by Colliers to design the swing space. I see Mr. Collins holding his hand up, and then Mrs. Bernardo. Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
My only question is, the agenda says until the town council approves. Did the mayor give you or any member of the town council give you any indication of when that may be approved?
The mayor did not. The mayor, we were going by what he had said at the meeting on Monday with the Colliers and so forth, that we were going on that point. And then the meeting right after, the mayor said, or if the school committee doesn't agree, that if you want to continue to do the work, you need to have some discussion on that. And the mayor would try to find the money to do it. And that's, the only way he's going to do it is issue school construction bonds to start the process. So he didn't give any indication when the town would go out to bid or anything like that. That's all I can tell you in regards to it. I don't think we should stop. I think we should continue, whether it's modified at the moment. The first project to go anyways was going to be the swing space, to design that so that when we're ready to move forward, we can continue to move forward on that. So that's, what he had said. That's my opinion, that we should continue. It's up to the school committee whether you just want to put a stop to it all and wait, whatever. It could be a year, could be 2 years until the town borrows the money. It was my opinion that I thought this should have come from the building committee informing the school committee, and the mayor just wants a note sent to the building committee. Not even have a meeting, but sent a note to the building committee informing them of our decision. So that's where we stand. So Jen Bernardo had asked, it was next. Jen?
Did he express concern at all that maybe the building project would not continue at all? Like it would be like dead in the water at this point? Was that like his concern?
I don't know. I don't have any idea what's happening fiscally with the town. The mayor made some comments about the budget, which we'll have in the budget meeting going forward, but he did not say whether he was looking to stop this at all.
Okay.
My personal opinion is I don't know if the town wants to do the work at all, personally.
Paul?
Mr. Fiorello raised his hand first, so go ahead, and then we'll go to Mrs. Waters.
My concern is, as Dennis brought up, the agenda item specifically says to cease further expenditures. If we incur more expenses, who's paying for it if the town's not going to approve it?
Well, the mayor said he would try to find the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
Any work that gets done on those buildings will be out of the $83 million bond that was.
Assuming the town actually takes out the bond, though.
If the town tells us that we're not going to take out the bond, then we're stopping anyways.
But we don't have incurred expenses at that point. So what kind of expenses are we talking about?
Well, the expenses we're talking about would be for the design work done by Colliers. By Torado for the swing space. You'd have Colliers checking the work, checking with the estimator to see if we're on track for what Mr. Torado thinks it may be, and then going out to bid and see what the bids are. I don't know exactly what the number would be. I don't have an idea.
I would prefer to table this until we had clear guidance from the town and the mayor and the town council. Also, maybe some actual numbers of what kind of work we would be talking about. This seems like more of a blank check otherwise.
Once someone makes a motion to table, we can't discuss it any further, but the mayor was looking for an answer.
Motion, just to be clear.
What?
Well, I have some questions first.
Go ahead, Mrs. Waters.
One, are there currently expenditures that haven't gone through fiscal yet that are in process?
We have approved everything that has been presented to Mr. Prignano. I think there's one additional bill that didn't make the agenda for the last time because he needed additional information.
The payments we made to Colliers were through February, so they're continuing to do making sure our stage 2, now that we've gotten our stage 2 questions back from RIDE, they continue to work with Toronto and the school department on getting answers for RIDE on the things they were interested in. So they've worked into March and April. We will get bills for March and April also.
Yeah,
But-
okay.
It's not, I mean, the 5 months of their bills was $102,000. So, maybe $30,000 or something like that for them.
So, but just to add to that, the mayor is aware that there will be some additional expenses to complete the process to give RIDE what they need to make a decision.
Okay, and I had
so-
a second question. Regarding just the actual construction and stuff, you had mentioned Smithfield. Did Colliers or Toronto say anything about how, the social distancing and the pandemic is affecting the construction industry? Would we even be able to start having people come in over the summer to start doing work?
I don't know how that plays out with the governor in regards to construction work going on. I believe she stopped everything in the state, I believe. But if we vote to at least do the that work there, I don't know when the governor would do it. I mean, Toronto still needs time to design it all. And then Colliers needs to get it reviewed and then go out to bid. It could be a couple of months before even that work is ready for bidding. I don't know exactly, but I mean, we could vote to cease any, agree with the mayor to cease any work going forward after that. But I believe we should continue to at least do something. And the smallest project from what I can see is creating the swing space so that we could do it. We could vote that way. If the mayor says, no, we can't find the money for it, then it'll just be, you can't find the money and it'll stop, going, moving forward.
Can
So
I
that's
ask
what
one
I have there. Go ahead.
The last we talked, I remember talking about working on developing the swing space over Christmas break. Is that still the plan?
Well, the idea was they were going to expedite it. We were going to be on an expedited schedule with RIDE. And RIDE was suggesting that we do this, I believe, in 3.5 years. And then because of this, the delay here on number one, that RIDE was going to be informed now that we're going to do the project over 5 years versus 3.5. So, and the other thing that RIDE was telling us is that we had to go out to bid for everything, all the work, even if we go 5 years, that it was going to, we would have to do it by, I think it was either June or December of 2022. So it doesn't leave a whole lot of time for Colliers to do a heck of a lot of work, not Colliers, but Toronto and Colliers to do a heck of a lot of work. But we don't even know at this point in time what percentage of the work the town will be able to afford once we know the reimbursement rate. The mayor did tell us that he was speaking to, I believe it was the auditor general for the state, and when the state approves our application, if it gets approved, that we should know the exact reimbursement rate at that time. So we'll know whether we got 1 or 4 of the bonus points at that point in time. So that's where it stands as of right now. Who asked that? Dennis Collins?
So I like the idea of it, but just a couple of things there. We don't know the exact number right now, how much whatever we do is going to cost, and I don't feel comfortable with the we'll find the money somewhere. It's a good gesture by the mayor, but there's a lot of uncertainty. We're talking about things we don't know, have a lot of answers to. So theoretically this works, but in reality, with too much uncertainty, I don't know if I can get behind it.
Well, Mr. Adams, you have a question, and then Mrs. Friedman?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I do have a question. I'm probably the one who's supposed to provide answers, but can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But I do have a question, and this may be for Mr. Prignano and Mr. Mitchell, but for sake of argument, am I right that the building committee is the entity that has the authority over the expenditure of funds? Is that right, from your perspective and what you guys have seen, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Prignano, or the chair?
Well, I'll speak a little bit on this. In the last 25 years, the building committee has been the one dealing with the architect, and they have been the one dealing with the owner's representative. And it would be the building committee that would go out to bid and decide, after looking at all the bidders, who's best qualified to do the work and for how much. For some unknown reason, we've had a new building committee for over a year almost, or just about a year. That's met maybe 4 or 5 times, and that's it. And I felt this request here should have come through the building committee as well. But the mayor has put it in our lap, so to speak, to decide whether we want to stop or not stop, even though he's in conversation with Colliers. He's told Colliers that he wants to stop. But he's given us 2 directions, either stop or tell me what you want to do.
But maybe my question was too obtuse, too not clear. But like, if the committee were to vote tonight, and I'm not making any recommendation about that, but if the committee were to vote in the negative, in other words, to say, hey, we're not going to vote to cease further expenditures, we're fine with further expenditures for sake of argument.
Correct.
Does that mean that further expenditures will automatically occur, or does some other entity, like the town council, have to take action in order for there to be an expenditure of dollars?
Well, they will need to take action because they're the only ones that can approve the bonds in regards to the spending of money. We're put in a tough situation here where we're being asked to do the work of the building committee, at least in my opinion, that we're doing all the work of the building committee, just like the bills we approved the last time, they never went in front of their building committee for approval. The bill should have gone in front of the building committee for approval, sent to the fiscal for approval, and then sent to the town council. And it seems like we're just doing all the work of the building committee right now.
Can I add a couple of things, Paul?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, hold on, Mr. Pignatto. Mrs. Friedman had some questions.
No,
No, you're okay.
no, I'm okay.
You all set, Karen?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, just clearing up a little bit what you said. This originally was a 5-year project, and what Toronto did is came up with a way to compress it into 3.5 years, because at that time, the bonuses expire, many of them expire at the end of 22 and some in 23. So if we didn't compress the project, we'd lose out on bonuses. And, if you lose out on 10% of the bonuses and $70 million of construction, that's $7 million you're possibly leaving on the table. Now, Colliers thinks that because of this corona and everything that's happened, the state is going to have to extend the bonuses because so many people haven't been able to do the work. And so they think they're going to do something with extending them. They think there'll be enough communities that want to do work that they'll be able to do that through the political gauntlet, if nothing else. And so there may be that pushing back. If not, what we would have to do, Paul started to mention, we'd have to get contracts with on all this work in 22, which I don't know how they would really price work that you're going to do a 1.5 years later. But in 22, if you have contracts, plans and contracts signed, you'll still qualify for the bonuses, even if the work's not done. So if we delay, once you delay, you can never get that time back. If you move forward, we can always delay at some point if the town council doesn't decide to go out for bond anticipation notes. What Steve was saying, yes, if this committee votes yeah to move forward, it means nothing unless the council authorizes the funding, to go out for bond anticipation notes or some way to fund the projects. It's not going to be funded obviously through the school operating budget. And Paul, the person that is telling us that we will have our reimbursement number was the treasurer,
Treasurer, okay, state treasurer, okay.
who's been the person who's kind of, along with the governor, were the two people that really kind of spearheaded getting this going.
That's right.
Oh.
So if we want to continue, go ahead, Mr. Collins.
So Alex, what you're saying is if we move forward with this, okay, if we move forward to continue with the construction, then the school department is not on the hook for any of this money?
No,
Well, what we would have to do is move forward and request that the mayor go to the appropriate source, which would be the town council, to provide the funding to do the swing space that Paul's talking about, that he'd like to see start sooner rather than later. If the town council at that point didn't feel that they could afford it, then they wouldn't do it.
And that's the conversation you had with the mayor, Paul, in that's consistent with
the mayor, had said to us on Monday, if we don't agree in regards to stopping the work, and we wanted to continue doing some of the work, to let him know we wanted to move forward on doing some of the work, and he would attempt to find the funds or bond it if they had the capability of paying for it, and they would continue moving along. That's what he told us on Monday in the telephone conversation we had with him. Versus outright saying, don't do anything. He wanted school committee members' input in regards to how you felt about stopping completely after the stage 2 application, whether it's approved or not. So we need to make a decision. Go ahead, Mr. Fiorello first, and then Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I don't understand something, because not long ago, a decision was made that we are able to bind the town to, if we do work, the town now has to pay for it, whether they voted on it or not. So to say that we're going to be able to incur expenses isn't exactly correct, because the town's going to be stuck with having to pay for it.
The only expense that we would occur if we move forward right now, I would recommend, is that we would, and we should talk to the mayor, basically saying that the school committee would like to continue to proceed and make sure that because he's got to pay, he's paying those Collier and Toronto bills. It would just be, there would be no construction done without going to I would not recommend that the school department, start major construction without with just buying and trying to bind the town to it.
But we've already approved, basically, sort of, to incur expenses so we can complete the stage 2 application.
Right, and this would be going past the stage 2 application.
Right, and then the mayor's going to try to find the money.
Yeah, well,
I don't know how the state's going to find the money.
Well, the money for the $83 million, or I should say that bond, the state's already gone out and borrowed from what I'm told, the $250 million that was already approved by the voters. They have that money ready to do it. So, we can as a committee here just say to the mayor, yeah, we agree, and let us know if you're going to do the work and when we can proceed. Or we can say the mayor would like to, in my opinion, do the swing space only, and ask the mayor to go out and get the bonds for that money. He can get construction bonds, for a 20-year payment plan there on the bonds. So we have the capability of doing that, going out to the bond council. I mean, up until a week ago, the meeting with Collier's was we were still proceeding forward. And now, because they've had many conversations with bond counsel, the mayor feels that, speaking with him on Monday and stuff, that the town, people are going to have issues paying taxes, the money we get from the meal tax, excise taxes and stuff like that, that the mayor feels that it's going to slow down. And so they borrowed 25 million, and they, yesterday they got funded for payment of the bills for the town itself. So it's just my opinion. I think we should continue. I don't think we should stop. We don't have to say we want everything done, but we can at least say, let's do the swing space. We know Ashton is so backed up in community that we need to at least start to move forward here. You know, we could be delayed a year, it could be delayed to 2 years. We don't know what the town wants to do. We've never gotten an answer from, you know, the building committee of how to put, you know, other than us proceeding. We'll know in June what percentage that RIDE is going to give us for the construction. We'll know. The mayor will know whether it's 50%, 65%, 55%. Because we've always had that conversation of how much work are we going to do based on that bond. We know we have to do at least 50% of the 83 million in order to get any of those bonus points. So we'll know very soon whether we continue or not, but I believe, you know, my personal opinion that we should continue doing something versus nothing. You know, the town last night, I mean, I think the town has the capability of doing it. My personal opinion, the town last night decided that for the levy, instead of doing the levy at 4%, and giving them, and making sure there's money for the schools and everything, they got to do 2%. And the school department right now, as of Monday's conversation, we're building a budget now that will be level funded. No increases, zero. Nothing for capture the state aid we lost. So we are working hard to come up with ideas and how to get funding from the town. But that's where it stands. Do we want to continue or not? And someone, if you make the motion, you make the motion, you know, my personal opinion, you make the motion that we ask the town in the building committee to design and go out to bid for the swing space and incur those expenses, but they would be charged to the $83 million bond. Right now, from what I understand, my opinion is, I believe all the bills that we've sent the town so far based on the stage 2 application work, that the town is basically borrowed the money from themselves and will reimburse themselves when they go out to bid and get the construction bonds. So if anybody wants to make a motion, you're welcome, so we can move forward, unless there's other discussion here. We're stuck, and we shouldn't be doing this. I think this is all the building committee's work that should be done here, and it's being pushed onto the school committee.
Bob has a comment.
Go ahead.
Steve has had his hand up several times. Steve, is there something you wanted
Yeah.
to?
What I don't yeah, okay. What I'm not understanding in all of this, I mean, candidly, is any action you take has no effect. If I'm getting this right,
It has
you're
no
not
effect.
binding, Mr. Fiorello, I would love to hear from you on this because I'm missing something.
No, as soon as we approve something, the town is bound to pay for it.
But you're not approving any contract.
We're not approving contracts. We're approving all the design work and everything else, which will incur tens of thousands of dollars of expenses.
I'm not trying to fight with you, believe me.
No, I understand.
But it says discussion to cease, and let's assume that we phrase it in the opposite. Discussion to approve further expenditures on school construction until the town approves the work, or I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what that means because you are already slated to do that. So this would be an affirmative act to stop what's already been approved, unless I'm missing something, Mr. Prignano or Mr. Mitchell. I may be missing something, and it may be desirous, but I'm not really sure this binds anybody to anything beyond that which has already been bound. Mr. Prignano, am I in the ballpark or am I wrong?
I think if we approve that we want to move forward, we should then have a discussion with the mayor saying that by moving forward, what we want to do is be in a position if things get better, if the town's able to access the market, those type of things, to do the swing space late next summer into the fall so that one of the schools could move in there over Christmas break. And to be in that position, you'd have to continue doing some expenditures with Colliers and Torado. And then, so we should see if the mayor is willing to, like he's paid for bills for Colliers and Torado up through the stage 2, if he would continue to pay for bills for a couple of months, so that we would at least be in a position if things get to a point where we can to do work. Because once you stop and delay and you say, oh, okay, if things did get better, you wouldn't have time for Torado and Colliers to do the necessary work and to go out to bid. So
I get all that, Alex, but right now, are we not then bound?
Are we not what, Steve?
Are we not bound for these future planning?
Well, there are contracts with both vendors, but if they delay their work, then there would be no further bills coming until you started up work again.
And I've seen these contracts, are we permitted to say to them, hey, slow down? I mean, most contracts, it's sort of like,
well,
do the work until the work's done.
Both vendors were on the phone call with the mayor, and neither one raised any concern about if the mayor, because of what's happening with Corona and the rest of it, had to take a timeout until we could start up again.
Okay.
No one expressed like, well, wait a minute, our contract calls for us to continue to get paid.
Right. So that's where it stands, folks. Do we want to continue doing part of the work and express to the mayor that we would like him to do the swing space?
Yeah, I think that
If they can fund it and then go from there, the mayor will decide if financially the town can do it. And they won't know if they can do the work unless they can have Torado's continue to do the design, and then Colliers do the additional work to check, to make sure Torado got everything, and then go out to bid on it. I mean, the mayor could just say, no, we're not going to continue, and that's it. But we took, whether we take a stand or not. Mr. Adams, you're right. Mr. Adams and Mr. Fiorello, go. Mr. Adams first.
Steve, you're on mute. Steve, you're on mute.
Sorry, Mr. Demotica, my apologies, but I mean, there are many ways to phrase a motion. I'm still a little unclear because I wonder whether the mayor might be a participant in a discussion of this, given exactly the sense to the mayor intended. And I am just here for what,
Right.
But if a vote, I mean, you could table it as Mr. Fiorello suggested, you could vote in favor of the motion. You could vote against it. One way to do it along the lines of what Mr. Demotica just said was a vote to approve further expenditures on school construction if the town approves the work. Then for advisory, but for those who are interested in keeping the ball moving, that it's like a bouncing ball. It seems like that just volleys it over to the town and says, listen, do you want to approve this? But I'm not really sure there may be some subtext here with which I'm not familiar, but
All right, go ahead. We had Mr. Fiorello, then Mr. Collins raised their hands.
No, let Dennis go.
And my
What was that?
question,
All right. Go ahead.
so we have a meeting next week. What's the danger in tabling it tonight so we can get some of these questions answered? There's a lot of ambiguity in this, and it seems odd. You know what I mean? There's all this uncertainty with the future and construction, but we want to move forward with some construction. We don't know how much it's going to cost, and we're told they're going to find the money somewhere. Is there any danger in tabling it to next week's meeting?
I don't think there's a danger in tabling it, but whether we table it to next week or not, the building committee still have, if we decide tonight we would like the building committee to keep going forward, there's still gonna be, the mayor and the town council is
Give me
still
my-
never
my,
gonna know
um,
what it cost unless Toronto and Colliers does the work. They're never gonna know the cost. And so, we could go on for this forever, but eventually the building committee has to get involved and figure out what it's gonna cost. I mean, the mayor wanted our opinion, but he didn't say stop outright, stop completely. His answer to us or to me and the superintendent, Mr. Brignano, was if you want to continue doing work, then take a vote and send it to us, to the council, the mayor, and the building committee, telling them we would like them to continue to proceed, and the mayor would try to, find the funds. The only way the mayor is going to find the funds to do it moving forward is if he borrows the money for the $83 million bond. And he's not going to borrow that money until at least RIDE approves us hopefully approves us in June, and we know how much money we're going to get in reimbursement. Because nothing happens unless we get the minimum 50% moving forward. Nothing can
Right, but the
happen.
town council still has to approve to actually get the bonds.
That's right. They have to
So the
approve.
mayor can make all the promises he wants, but it's still up to the other 7 people.
That's right. It's still always going to be up to the other side, to the town council, whether they want to go bond it or not. And the question is do they bond it and do the whole $83 million worth of work, or do we do $44 million worth of work because we have to do a minimum of 50% in order to qualify for any of the bonus points? That's where it comes down to. So the mayor's not going to know until June anyways, whether, what we got for a reimbursement rate, because we can't tap the 83 million unless, we know we got more than 50%. Mrs. Friedman?
Not to beat a dead horse here, but doesn't the building committee, don't they have to approve the expenditures for the school construction?
They would, in the past, the building committee would, deal with Colliers, they deal with Toronto.
I mean,
And then they
Dealing
would,
with them is one thing, but don't they have to approve it? Like, don't they have to?
they would
vote.
vet the work, the builders, the construction companies vet them. And then they would pick the best one based on, doing the vetting work. And then the building committee would approve them, and then it comes to the school committee and the town council.
yeah, I understood that the building committee actually is above the school committee when it comes to approving
Correct.
projects and expenditures. So like what you just said, the building committee approves and vets and does whatever. Then it comes to the school committee for us to approve, to then send it, I don't know, back to the building committee to then go to the town council.
It goes back to the town council.
So I'm confused as to what we're actually voting on here and what the school committee has the power to do in this.
Well, we don't have any power. The building committee has the
So-
power, but the mayor said to me and the others on Monday that whatever you decide to do, then send a copy to a letter to the council, the mayor, and copy the building committee as well, is what he told us to do.
Mr.
you
Mitchell
know,
has a comment.
Go ahead, Mr. Mitchell. I can't see you on my screen, but go ahead.
I think what I'm about to say is relevant to what we're talking about procedurally. And I think everyone assumed that the process would be building committee, school committee, town council, right? That's the way the progression of approval would flow. But I think a monkey wrench was, and I think that's a logical consideration for any project like this. That's why you have a building committee. But I think the thing that sort of threw a monkey wrench into that process was, and some of you were in attendance at the meeting, right, where Dr. Joe De Silva stated publicly that the building committee has really has no authority. It is the school committee that has the authority. And I think because of that, that's why I think the mayor has backed off in his, and this is just an assumption here. He's sort of backed off in his role as chairman and ensuring that there are regular meetings, because based on what Dr. De Silva said with his colleagues, and Alex, you were there too, I think that sort of procedurally sort of threw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. So, like someone I think even said, like, why do we have a building committee then if it is the school committee that has all of the decision-making authority, right? Do you recall that? I think that's what really sort of messed
Yes.
up this.
Yes.
Can I make a suggestion, Paul?
Go ahead.
Can we, I think Dennis had a good idea about tabling for a week. In the meantime, why don't we, I'll get prices from both Colliers and Toronto on if they were to move forward with the design, just design, and what and the continued work that Colliers would be doing along with Toronto, what that may look like, and then see if the mayor would continue to fund that piece of it, so that if we're in a position somewhere at the end of the summer where the town could access the market and stuff like that, we could go with the swing space. At least we would be ready if he would be willing to carry some expense. But we should get an idea what that expense is. Is it 50,000? Is it 150,000? That type of stuff. And we can get that answer I'll get that answer from Colliers and Lewis during tomorrow. I'll make calls to them, and then we could take this up next week, and then the committee can say, gee, we would like to go forward, Mayor, if you're able to fund this amount of money, so that we'll be in a position to shorten the project time period if times improve. I mean, the town just went out the other week or so, a couple of weeks ago, for trying to get a bond of $2 million for roads in town, and they couldn't even access the market at this point. Everything's so up in the air right now. They couldn't even get into the market. So who knows? Things might stay that way, and they can't even access the market in a few months. But if things do improve, we get past this corona somewhat, the state, gets, money from the feds and is able to somewhat have things be somewhat normal, at least we would then be in a position to do something. If we don't at least do the design work and with Toronto and them, if things can turn as rosy as possible in the summer, we won't have enough time to do any work. We'll have been delayed.
I am okay with that suggestion as well. If we can get some numbers that we can get to the mayor, so that if we continue to continue to do the work after the stage 2 application approval, then so be it. Mr. Fiorello?
I'd like some guidance from the town council that they're going to support this, because I don't want to have to go through the circus that we went through last summer.
Well, I believe, in my personal opinion, that this is a circus. I really do. A lot of work is going on here. And no one wants to step up to the table and say, let's go, let's stop.
Well, I don't want to hear anyone in the town saying that, the school committee threw us under the bus. They made us spend all this money that we didn't get to have any approval on, and have that whole argument again.
Well, anything that gets done has to get approved by the town council. If they're gonna have a vote.
Right, that's why I want approval
say.
first. I want some kind of guidance from them first.
I don't think you're gonna get it, in my personal opinion. I don't think you're gonna get it. I don't think
When we get the number, we'll send it to the mayor and ask the mayor if he's gonna approach the council for their approval, for their support.
I want everything in writing.
They know everything they know that we've been continuing to get the stage 2 in, so we've just sent bills down. We didn't ask the council about those stage 2 bills. They know we awarded a contract to Toronto and Colliers, and we've been working with the mayor's office, and now we're sending those bills down for them to pay, so that for the stage 2 work we did, the surveyors and the roof stress tests, all that type of stuff that we recently approved.
That's great, but I don't want things done over the phone or even in meetings. I want to see actual guidance on paper from the town.
Well, And, it's your vote. How do you want to proceed? You can ask to have the town council put on their agenda in 2 weeks when they do the levy, which I'm hoping all the school committee members can attend that meeting because we're in trouble. But I'm willing to do anything. Well, I'm willing to someone make a motion and we just stop here, end of story. But I think it's a bad mistake on my personal opinion. I would vote no, that we've gotten this far, that we should at least be ready to do something in June or July when we're waiting on the RIDE to approve the application and tell us what the amount will be. I mean, the mayor wants to stop, doing anything until then, and I agree 100%. Let's wait and see what the expenses may be. Okay, but we also got to be ready to see if he's willing to give Toronto and Collier's permission to start, whether it be in June. We've got to give him some guidance. Everything he wants is, the town wants guidance. We give them the guidance and they still throw it back at us. So that's just my opinion. Or,
I'll make a motion to table until next week and we get the guidance that we are looking for.
Well, and we'll get prices and we'll approach the town and see if we should move forward. If depends on what the amount is. It may be a very not that costly.
I'll second Mr. Fiorello's motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Fiorello to table. We have a second by Mr. Collins, and we'll have Mr. Prignano reach out to Colliers and Toronto and ask them what the possible expenses are if we did the swing space work and present it to the mayor and see if he's willing to move forward. Is that right? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Just the architectural and engineering work, nothing, no construction.
Right, no construction. So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-1. Next is resolution.
I'm sorry, who voted no?
Mr. DeMonica.
Okay.
Okay.
And just FYI, so I saw some guidance on this. When votes are 7-0, obviously that's self-explanatory, you would think. But otherwise, it is important for the public in this environment, at least according to the Department of Administration, that we let the public know who voted where. I know, Mr. DeMonica, you weren't hiding that information on
Right,
that,
so
but just for clarity.
Mr. Collins, Mrs. Friedman, Mr. Fiorello, Mrs. Waters, Mr. Salvatore, and Mrs. Bernardo voted in the affirmative. Paul DeMonica votes in the negative. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So next is SCPR 4/2020-07, the Aspen Online Student Registration Program. Mr. Salvatore, that passed 3-0 in fiscal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. DeMonica. That passed 3-0. This resolution is not to exceed $16,358. If anyone has any questions, Mr. Chandler is also available to answer any questions as well.
Okay, I need a motion.
No,
Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
now, would this be the appropriate, if we approve this, would this be the appropriate form to let the public know what it entails and in how soon we'll be able to register? Because that has been an ongoing question with people. And what the plan is.
I mean, for those that didn't log into fiscal, Mr. Chandler's hoping to get the software up and running on May 1st. He's hoping to get that to happen. And then the superintendent, through his office, they'll start to get ready to advertise this in the Valley Breeze that we've purchased the software so that we can do online student registration. And we'll get this kindergarten program up and running and anything else that gets registered through that portal so we can get ready to go. So for the public, it'll take a few weeks to get the software up and running and loaded, working in our system. And then the public will get notified advertising like we normally do in the Valley Breeze. Hopefully we can do it for a couple of weeks so that they're available. So if you're online, you see a parent ask about the kindergarten or preschool or whatever it may be, first grade registration coming into the district, that you can let them know that in a few weeks, we'll have something up, to get it running, hopefully by May 1st, but don't put us, don't say the affirmative on May 1st that we're working on it.
I wouldn't even, Mr. Chair, I wouldn't even float that May 1st date because then people will be hollering May 1st if
Well-
it's not ready.
Well, I think we should say we're hoping to get it ready for May 1st because they're asking now, if we don't give them any date, they're gonna say, well, when are you gonna do it? When are you gonna do it? So we're hoping to get the software ready on May 1st, but there's no guarantee, and we'll keep you
Okay.
informed. So once Mr. Chandler knows, hopefully we'll get an ad into the Valley Breeze right away. And between the 7 of us, we can, do through social media that we're getting ready to go to get this all done, because it is, you see the postings on Facebook all the time. So, let's hope for May 1st, and we'll know sooner than later from Mr. Chandler. Okay, everyone okay on that one? So who made the motion? Did anyone
I
make
made
the
a
motion?
motion,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Salvatore makes the motion,
A second.
second by Mrs. Waters, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Just so next week, we're gonna have our regular meeting on the 23rd. And we will have possibly fiscal. I know we're gonna have executive session because there's some items that we need to talk about before we go into budget season that could create some legal problems for the school district that I want to suggest. So just so you're aware about next week, okay? Anyone else? Thank you to Mr. McLaughlin, who's going to work on our behalf to try to get, additional funding for the school district. He's not going to give up, even though we're in this pandemic. He's going to file legislation to try to get us more money. And we're grateful for that. So thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
Did
Oh.
someone,
Oh, wait, we didn't vote.
Did someone move to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes, we adjourned.
Oh,
We voted and we adjourned.
Yes,
Pep
how
talk.
did I miss that? My God.
I heard.
You're
I
really
heard-
quick.
you did. All right. Thank you, everyone.